see. Come on. All right. So how's everybody doing tonight? I'm sitting here with Shawn James out of New York. It's kind of funny. I was in New York about 3 weeks ago. They gave me a $115 fine and an $85 boot. But nevertheless, that's just how it is in New York City. I mean, it's very wild out there. It's a wild place. I had to catch a couple of subways and stuff. Didn't get to be Shawn when out there. He was probably doing some book sales and stuff. He's an actual book author. So, but go ahead. It's better you go ahead and explain it to me. Go ahead.
Okay. I am the publisher of SJS Direct. I have over 80 titles on Amazon.com right now. And the first book in the SJS Direct imprint for 2022, ISIS Legacy, is now available in paperback and coming to Kindle this week. So you can pick up a copy of ISIS Legacy in paperback, and you can pick up the Kindle version this week, and you can pre-order it right now.
That's pretty interesting. So what's going on in the Rotten Apple?
It's still a complete mess, and your Eric Adams is just running a social media minstrel show where he's running all over social media instead of taking care of business. It's just him basically trying to go out here and shuck and jive instead of taking action to try to help improve the quality of life in the city, like ending this vaccine mandate for your private businesses that's keeping the city from making a lot of tax revenue and basically keeping a lot of New Yorkers out of work. And you would think after getting roasted by the mainstream media just this weekend, he would change the policy, but he's just not really connecting the dots as related to the people in charge trying to send him a message.
Well, let me ask you a question about him, because actually he was in the news yesterday for all the wrong reasons. Matter of fact, by some NBA players. That's something here, Hey, you know the old saying, they say letting the inmates run their asylum, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to take it that far, but I will say this. Daggone, when the NBA players who supported you started ringing out, got some things to say right there.
Yep. Well, the thing is, he doesn't see that the owners are trying to send him a quiet message. And he doesn't understand that those NBA owners, these are not white men. These are men of a certain group. And if they send you a message to go and end something, they expect it to be ended. But he's not connecting the dots and seeing that these guys can practically end your political career if you continue to remain defiant. He really doesn't understand that the optics here are they're trying to give him an out, and he needs to take the L. But instead of him connecting the dots and critically thinking and seeing where things are supposed to go as related to those bosses here in New York politically and these business owners economically, he doesn't really see how he's embarrassing himself, and he's sending them a message that they're going to have to take him out.
Can I ask you a question, Shawn?
What?
Didn't they call where I was? I mean, they call New York Jew York, so I guess Eric Adams need to know who really running the show.
You don't understand it. He's trying to go out here not understanding. Again, those NBA owners, these are not white men. I understand when Adam Silver came out, these guys are sending you a message. They're quietly letting you know, look, you need to wrap this up. You need to end this. He's not connecting the dots. These guys can tune you up and end you, and he doesn't understand they're getting ready to end him.
Hey, what's going on, Bishop? How you doing?
How you doing, Shawn and BJ? God bless you both.
We talking about this situation up there in New York. As a matter of fact, after I left New York, I came to see him actually in Philadelphia, Shawn. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
The same stuff in Philadelphia I saw in New York, trash on the street and so forth and the like. I mean, actually, it was actually bad up there in New York with trash and all the business districts. I don't know what's going on with these leftists, man. These leftists are some lunatics out there in these cities, man.
Well, what they did during the Jim Crow South. They're just taking the money for themselves, and they're letting the quality of life deteriorate. Any place that these leftists control, they practically run into the ground because basically they don't take money to spend on services. They use it to hook up their friends, give them sweetheart deals, and then they just take the money and throw it into the garbage, into their garbage. They let the city fall apart while they're just putting money in their pocket.
Well, what do you say about that, Bishop?
I mean, I agree entirely. I mean, Democrats, I mean, you have to look at Philadelphia, New York, Baltimore, Detroit, Chicago, LA. I mean, just look, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. You don't even have to even debate it to a certain degree. The proof's in the pudding. I live in North Philadelphia, and it's almost like a war zone, a dilapidated place over here, you know. And this is one area of Philadelphia. I can name many other areas within the city that once again we have a Democratic mayor. We had the last two mayors were black Democrats. In fact, before this mayor, before our present mayor, and whether it was Nutter, whether it was keep in mind it was our city that had a black mayor that bombed the black neighborhood, Mayor Good, back in 1985. He actually bombed, actually 86. He actually bombed the entire city block of black folk, not just move, but the fire extended throughout the whole, actually 2 city blocks of Osage Avenue. So this is a mayor that was black. His chief managing director of the city was a black man, and these men were responsible for ordering really the execution not only of those MOVE members, which included children, but also a whole neighborhood was destroyed totally. It was given an order not to put out the fire. They dropped the bomb on the bunker. They were ordered not to put out the fire, to let it burn. And not only did it burn that particular house, it burned every house within 2 city blocks of that house. And this is a Democratic black mayor of the city of Philadelphia. And I can go on and on with other stories. Mayor Rizzo, once again, white, but still Democrat. And so we've seen this in our particular city forever. We're a conclave of Democratic control. We've been under Democratic control virtually since I've been born. Very seldom was there a Republican that ran this city.
Well, let me mention
and I'm
something
70
here.
years old, keep in mind. So 70 years, I can count them. In fact, I think it's only 1 or 2 Republicans that ever has been mayor in the 70 years of my being alive.
Well, Bishop, me and Shawn became good buddies, and I'd be sending him the same articles and stuff I send you.
Mm-hmm.
And the mayor, the governor of Florida said, Shawn, and I sent you the thing earlier, he said that don't be fooled right now because midterms. But these guys get back in office, they're going to try to come back with the same ring around the rosy. But I like yours.
But Bernard, let me say this. Let me just interject. But let me just interject myself in that response. There's no ring around the rosy. It's all fluff and stuff. It's all mirrors and shadows. It's all gestures and symbolism. There's never is substance. I don't care if midterm, general election, in between time, any time at all. It's always going to be deflections and gestures and symbolisms and all of that. That's all they're going to give you. They're not going to straighten out the economic condition of the black neighborhood. Our infrastructure is still going to be the worst streets, the nastiest blocks. That doesn't ever change. And we continue to vote for people that no longer even try to fake the funk. They don't even try to fake the funk because they're so secure in our vote. They're so secure in us supporting them that they don't even have to fake it anymore. They don't have to pretend.
Let me interject on that one. I'm going to interject on that one. Actually, the last couple of weeks, they've actually been telling you that we ain't been voting for these people. They basically all but telling you about the 2020 election because the Department of Homeland Security just came out and said what a daggone talking about in a memo. Anybody who questioned the 2020 election or Fauci's narrative on COVID should be targeted or treated as a possible extremist. Now, I'm looking at this. I'm thinking some Nazi stuff right here because you calling us extremists, but we just asking a question. or we got some concerns, right?
Hmm.
They call you extremists, but they ain't extreme. Matter of fact, they never got damn bunch of tyrants. And Shawn, this is what Shawn always talks about. Beta males get these positions and do this crazy stuff. They cannot take a loss without daggone getting ready to blow up a damn schoolyard. Beta males turn everything, and Donald Trump said it best. Everything woke turns to shit, man. This shit is crazy. But what I'm actually saying, man, it is actually pretty bad in society when this stuff goes down like that. You know what I mean? It's very bad. It's very, very controversial, man. It's like, come on, man. Like, they even showing you it can't be us voting for them, because they even telling you more Hispanics, quote unquote, are joining right-wing groups, but that's just another word they like to throw out there, right-wing and all that other nonsense. No, they just don't want to vote for your ass. That's all that means. But they don't want to tell you that. So I'm just telling you, they're actually trying to, they're always letting you know they're losing by the way they're daggone. They're telling you, we don't want you to question. When you don't want me to question nothing, that already show you that we're not doing what you say. We just got a bunch of Negroes in place that daggone act like we did it. But in reality, all you had to do is go to the last 2 or 3 elections. You realize ain't a whole lot of black folk getting out there. So
but let me say this, Bernard.
Pawns. Huh?
But let me say this. And I've been around a while, 7 decades of life. And I've been in Ohio, I've been to Florida, I've lived everywhere around this, in particular in the Midwest and in the Northeast. And let me say this, that all you have to see, to me, it's so obvious. I know maybe it's because I've lived so long. It's just so obvious. I don't need proof. I don't need to read a book. I don't need to have a poll. I don't need to look at the polls. I don't need to see the rhetoric that's being espoused by everybody or anybody. All I got to do is walk out my front door. All we have to do is just look at where we live. And look, and if you live in a better neighborhood, go to the other neighborhoods. Go to the other places in your city, in your town, in your borough, in your township, in your rural area, wherever you may live. Go to those other places that people don't want you to see. Go there and see for yourself the lives of the average African American in this country.
Let's Shaq What's going on?
Oh yeah, hey Shaq.
Hey, what's going on with you good guys tonight, man?
How you doing,
Who all
guys?
up here on the board, man? I can't hardly see. I got a glare on my phone. My phone cracked. Who all up here?
Bishop.
You got Bishop Scott and you got Shawn James. How you doing?
Oh, what's going on, young man?
I'm good.
How y'all doing?
Now, Shawn, as I was talking to you earlier, we've had a lot of tricks and psyops lately. We had a guy named Justice Smollett who comes to interest because the Taraji P. Henson and him are saying that he was treated like Emmett Till and blah, 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 and all that other stuff, you know. Okay, come on, man. Like, really? Now, listen, I want to say this 2 ways, because you can have this both ways. This is one of the things. You can say, hey, look, the punishment don't fit the crime. Or you can be like me and say, hey, look, man, there's a whole lot of black men and women around this country have been lynched for a long time, and you faked and staged a hate crime, and yes, your ass do need to get some time. Or you can say, yeah, the punishment don't fit the crime, but that is your prerogative, whichever way you want to look at it. I get both ends of the spectrum on this one. But I said 3 years ago, he need to be locked up or do something, because what you did really caused a lot of problems, and real people was getting hurt, and you daggone. And you don't even claim to be black anyway. You say you Jewish and you daggone gay. He said daggone. That's what he said. And his mom was in that courtroom, by the way. Number 2, about him. He said, I'm not suicidal. They put him on psych ward or something today. Now, I'm looking at this another way. He got sentenced, and everybody's saying that he shouldn't have. Kim Fox, the attorney, the only person that say he should get time is Lori Lightfoot. Basically, she kind of turned her back. But all these attorneys, actors, and them saying that he shouldn't get it. Look. You didn't even play the pot right. You know what? This was 80% Democratic controlled Chicago, they say, right? Okay, now listen to this part. Listen to this for instance. He said 2 guys with mega hats was there to harm him. Correct. Remember he said that? Now, check this out. If that's true, why you had to get 2 Nigerian guys to play the pot? Because obviously now you telling me that you got mega Trump supporters out there. They're not just white, huh? So, yeah. So you could have played the pot better. You could have got 2 white guys to do this pot thing, but you didn't even do that right. So I don't know.
But let me,
shit.
If anybody else don't want to go, let me add something to what Bernard just said, right? To add on top of that, you just said in Chicago, Illinois, at that time of the year, it was negative 12 degrees for number 1. Number 2, you was downtown Chicago, and we know Chicago is what? 99 to almost 100% Democrat ran. There was not going to be any Donald Trump support mega hats downtown Chicago keeping up no motherfucking ranks. Matter of fact, the people ran them out. So I don't know why he would come up with that story. It's too much evidence stating that was a cockamamie story. I don't think they thoroughly thought that out. I don't know what their motive was behind that. Maybe it was just to add some more negative critique on Donald Trump's administration to keep us, like you said, wag the dog. That's what they do best. Give you something you're looking at, and behind the scenes they doing all and everything. So, he was just the latest puppet. And number 2, he has, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's family members of some lineage family members is tied to one of the biggest talent agencies in the entertainment industry. I don't know what the name of it per se. It's definitely Jewish owned and Jewish ran, but they're the biggest entertainment talent agency. And if we do the research, I would suspect that people like Taraji P. Henson, all these other celebrities coming out are partly represented by that talent agency. 100% guaranteed.
Go ahead, guy. Y'all go ahead.
Yeah, well, with your Jussie Smollett, he played a stupid game and he won a messed up prize. That's what happened to your Jussie Smollett. And now he wants us to sympathize for him getting the messed up prize, but this was all his fault. He was the one who tried to run this game to try to get himself some fame and attention. And when it blew up in his face, he wants to now play the victim. But you can't play the victim when you're the guy who went out here, who orchestrated this whole event, staged this whole event. How are you a victim? That's a critical question I want to ask about your Jussie Smollett talking about, oh, I'm not mentally ill, or I didn't, these things happen to him. No, this is all your fault. You're just dealing with the consequences of things. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And your Jussie Smollett is just suffering as a result of his actions that caused these reactions. He played a stupid game. Now he's having to deal with the messed up prize, which is 150 days in jail. And these guys in Hollywood can advocate for him and say, oh, he doesn't deserve what he got. But what if somebody were to have wound up dead as a result of him prodding these MAGA supporters or Black Lives Matter, and they caused some sort of riot or some sort of violent incident? Who would deal with that? I mean, what would have happened in that situation? Your Jussie Smollett basically is an unethical person who really, as I see it, if he got punished, he's getting punished because of what he did. And if he hadn't orchestrated this event, none of this, he wouldn't be in jail right now.
My take on it, I agree with both Shawn and Shaq about the situation. My thing is always, of course, got the 150 days in jail, $120,000 that he has to pay in restitution, and $25,000 for the false reports. But I'm like Shawn here. I don't have any sympathy for someone who created this monster. When you create Frankenstein, and then Frankenstein turns on you, don't blame Frankenstein. You created the monster. So, but what bothers me often in these cases like this, because I saw how he left the courtroom with his fist up, indicating the blackness and all of that racist, racism has brought this injustice and all of that. The fist that is always thrown up when you want to talk about defiance of the system. It's interesting to me. I think about OJ. I think about some of these other people that have abandoned their race, in favor of the other race. I mean, they date them, they associate with them, they live in their neighborhood. That's their best friends, that's their homies, that's who they hang out with until they get in trouble. Then all of a sudden, now you're my brother, you're my sister. This is the community. We got to stand together as a community. You didn't stand with me. You didn't stand with us. You preferred another community over us. And when they betray your trust and show that they are not your friends in reality, then all of a sudden you want to come back home and you expect us all to now kumbaya. And in too many cases, we do just that. We are the most forgiving, the most passive, the most willing to let bygones be bygones kind of people. That's why people use us. That's why people abuse us. That's why they take advantage of us. Because they know no matter what we do to you, you're going to forgive, you're going to forget, and it's going to be another kumbaya moment that we share with one another until the next time when you do the same thing again. Over and over again, we fall for the okie doke. And I'm beginning to blame not society. I'm beginning not to blame white folk. I'm beginning to blame our folk.
Very interesting. Well, let me say something about Mr. Smollett. Because I'm going to ask all y'all a question. Has racism become the best hustle of these guys? I'm just asking. Is racism the best hustle going?
Yeah, I think so. I think it has. It's becoming so in a usual defense that it's even losing its impact in terms of its being recognized as being what it is. We use it anytime, like I said a moment ago, anytime our people are in trouble, no matter how much they've devoted themselves of us. When they're in trouble, they do the race card. White folk, the Democrats, they love to play the race card. It's always about race. White supremacy and racism. And the weird part about it is they always want to include other races as well. And I know that we have been unjust to Native Americans. We've been unjust to Latinos. We've been unjust to a lot of folk in this country, unless you're Anglo-Saxon white male property owner. You've been discriminated on one level or another. But my point is this: that this nation is beginning to make the term racism almost null and void. It has no more significance because it's used so often and for so many reasons that it no longer even has any impact. Oh yeah, okay, it's racism. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I know you're right. Yeah, okay. And because of that, because it becomes so sanitized, there's not going to be any real changes. There's not going to be no real change. It'll be a real change for you. Something good may happen for you. But in terms of our people, no, it's used too much to be effective anymore, I believe.
Well, I see it turning into a billion-dollar business for these race hustlers. And what these elites do is they try to make themselves out to be some victim of some cause, get people behind them, and then try to find a way to use it to make money. And that's what Jussie Smollett was doing right there with this whole situation. He was using racism as a way to make money for himself, and he didn't care about what happened to other people in the community. All these other black people, he never wanted anything to do with them outside of watching his show, and he wouldn't help out another black person out here because all he wants to do is be the individual who gets the attention from the people in Hollywood, and he was using us as a way to get himself a further advancement of his career. And he's just a big time hustler. And we have to understand there's a lot of race hustlers out here who play the race card to make fast money. And these people are not about trying to help improve the quality of life in a community. They try to exploit the community and take advantage of those by playing to their emotions and getting them upset. And once they get us all upset and riled up, they then use that as a way to try to hustle some fast dollars, either through an out-of-court settlement or some sort of other payday. And then they do this to take advantage of the whole situation so that they move ahead and you wind up left behind.
You know what? I agree with all you three gentlemen with the race hustling. I'm gonna add you another one. I'm gonna double down and add another one on top of that. I'm gonna call it hustling black. That's one of the new hustles too. This conscious community, they've been hustling black, and some of these other ones hustling black. It's profitable to hustle black. You know what I mean?
Well, let me ask you another question. Well, actually, everybody a question here. So we got another guy coming back around the horn, Colin Kaepernick, once again. Now, personally, I really don't have a problem with Kaepernick. I I looked at it like, okay. But then when you started getting the deals from Disney and everything else, they had the contract with Nike, you started to see all these signs. But Colin Kaepernick last year, October, made a documentary talking about NFL was a slave plantation or whatever close to it. Documentary about comparing NFL to slavery. But then now he's talking about he's working out and wants to get back in the NFL after 6 years. And receivers are talking about they're going to go work out with him. Hopefully get another chance to play. Well, first of all, I don't believe nobody coming back after 6 years to play no damn football. Anyway, that's a big time gap. But number two, if it's a slave plantation, that's what you said. Why are you trying to come back and play? That's kind of like oxymoron, isn't it, Shawn? What do you think?
It is.
Hustling black. Hustling black. There you go. The hustling black 101. And guess what? If he's so about slavery, so about fight for people's rights and stuff, right? Did he not get endorsed by Nike? Is he not endorsed by Nike? And is Nike not the biggest?
He endorsed by Disney, man. Him and Jamel Hill.
But did he get money from Nike though, right?
Yeah.
Is Nike the biggest sweatshop slave in the world? No. He ain't fighting for the people that's got to work through sweatshops.
They don't talk about China.
That's what I'm saying. Biggest, what are they doing? One of the biggest, along with the so-called United States of, this corporation, human trafficking and mass concentration camps.
You're right. How you feel about it, Shawn?
Yeah, well, your Colin Kaepernick has been hustling from day one. He wanted to get a trade, and this all blew up because the owners wound up turning it around on him. And ever since then, he's been trying to play this pro-black gimmick to get people's attention. And when that didn't work, he then wound up taking all this money from these corporations. And when he took the money from corporations, I already knew it was a hustle when he talked about all of this, putting the knee and then, because all he wanted was a trade from the 49ers, which was a team that wasn't in the playoffs, to another team. But now he's just hustling all around. I mean, if you look at Colin Kaepernick's actions, they really show us how full of it he is, because you don't see him supporting any black-owned businesses. You don't see him participating in group economics. You don't see him going out here and trying to go out here and even start his own business. No, all he does is go to the same white corporations, playing the race hustle, and then going out here and then getting more money from these companies. He's never been genuine and consistent in his actions. And when you look at Colin Kaepernick, you just see a guy who's completely full of it, because he goes out here talking about these political causes, but you don't see him following through.
Well, like you said before, Shawn, everyone is out for their own aggrandizement. It's not for edifying or improving or enhancing the lot of Black America. That's not their objective. And people that think that it is are fooling themselves. This man right now, as of 2021, is worth $20 million net worth. And he's doing that through those endorsements. He's doing that through all of the deals, the wheeling and dealing that he's doing. This man not even hadn't played football, just like you say, in 6 years, but he still net worth last year, December of last year, his net worth was $20 million. Where's he getting the money? He's getting the money from all these these people that fall for the okie doke about racism and all of that. It's really a travesty and a tragedy. How we and the sad part about it is we as a people fall for the okie doke. We actually promote our own demise. We actually are contributors to our own genocide. And if we end up being non-existent on this planet, or at least in this nation, we can blame ourselves as much as anybody else. Because I mean, that's where this race thing comes in. You throw that race, and all of a sudden we fall in line. Oh wow, he's talking about race. How you doing, Shaq? I see you now. We're just duped over and over again. And I mean, how can a people that have been slaves, subjected to Jim Crow, subjected to bigotry and racism and lynching and all the things we've been through, how can we still believe in a system that's never meant us any good? How can we still believe in it at all? It baffles me. We are the only people in this country that were brought here. Everybody else came here. And that's the difference. We were brought here for those who came here to live better lives. That's why we were brought here. For everyone that got off a boat, whether it be the Santa Domingo, the Santa Maria, whatever the case may be, we were brought here in chains in order for them to have a better life, not for us. We were not brought here for opportunities. We were not brought here for advancement. We were not brought here so that our lives would be better. That was not the reason why they brought us. And that's why we're in the situation that we're in now. Because even now, immigrants come over. They're not brought over. They come over. And so since they come the same way that the first immigrants did, they're treated like the first immigrants were. We weren't immigrants. We weren't even refugees. We were prisoners brought to a country to be slaves and to be servants for those who were free African Americans in the end. Even they had to serve somebody. Pullman porters, waiters, butlers, maids, laundrymen, garment workers, that kind of menial jobs. Because that's the only thing that we are meant to do. Even when we talk about entertainment and sports, that's for their entertainment. That's for their pleasure. It's not for us to get anything out of it. And for us to think that this society is not going to change their mind about something that's worked for them for over 500 years is not only naive, it's insane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now I gotta talk about something there. I gotta talk about this subject, but I gotta watch the thought police because they're gonna be on my ass. But Mr. Barack Obama said yesterday, well, he said a couple weeks ago, actually, people of good conscience will support Ukraine. There's also a thing on Obama's website where you can actually donate money to help Ukraine. I actually want us to get on board and help. I said, this is something crazy right here. I said, then yesterday he died and this was positive. I'm like, okay, whatever. But Shawn, don't you find it funny that Barack Obama always trying to get us to support some cause? Isn't that kind of crazy, man? The man always do that.
No, that's your standard bootleg. They always want to get black people involved with causes that have nothing to do with us. I mean, the reason why they want to get involved is because they want white validation and approval. But whatever's going on in those other countries have nothing to do with black people. I mean, he's sitting there telling us to donate our money, but we went out here in large numbers to vote for your Joe Biden, and he told us he couldn't do anything for us. So we don't have to do anything for other people. If we can't get any tangibles from the government, I mean, you can go out here and find $13 billion to send straight to Ukraine and another $200 million for weapons, but you don't have any tangibles for the people who gave you states, gave you counties, and gave you cities, and gave the left the House and the Senate and the presidency. Instead of giving us tangibles, all we got was told, you can't do nothing for us. And then on top of it, you have the audacity. Yeah. On top of it, you got your Barack Obama talking about he has the audacity to ask us to donate our money. I'm sorry, no, we don't have to do anything since you can't do anything for us. And if you can't do anything for us, we can just sit here and let whatever happens. And again, your Barack Obama is your standard bootlick. He just has this audacious. He just wants to get brownie points with white people. Well, I have this to say to Barack Obama. Why don't you take your money and go send it to the Ukraine? Because mine is staying in my pocket.
Amen to that.
Well, he is a bootlick.
I agree. I mean, Barack has always been. Barack feels that reparations is impossible. Yeah, he said that as president. He said that even since he's been president. Reparations for blacks is not going to happen. You know, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Never even pushed for it. Never even said he supported it. In fact, he said just the opposite. He hinted that just the opposite, that he didn't feel it could ever be a reality. So we know how he stands for us. He did nothing for us. He took away money from the historically black colleges and universities. You know, George Bush gave a lot. He took it away. Trump gave it back, and now Biden's taking it away again. But that's the story of our lives. You know, I saw an article just today how the Asian Pacific group is actually getting for education for their institutions more than we're getting for the HBCUs. And the tragedy about that is they don't know which colleges actually do endorse and actually do support Asians and Pacific Islanders. They have no figure, yet they're giving them more than they give us. And they know where there's 200 and some black colleges and universities, but they're giving them more for that. We are going. My thing is this, and I'll end on this note. In terms of this, I agree with you completely, Shawn. That once again we're seeing Obama taking a stand that he does. Keep in mind also that some of this history, European history, is his history. Remember, he is white as well as black, and some of it goes way back to the kings of England, the queens of England, and all that. And keep in mind, the kings and queens of England were the monarchs of Russia as well. They all have the same,
let me add to what y'all just said too.
But then again,
all from the same family.
He never considered himself to be one of us anyway. He actually said on Tom during the morning show that don't call him black because they had no standing by law. So actually, to be honest with you, he actually really is just a carbon copy. He's a carbon copy with nothing in the middle. I mean, you know, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, really, he's not even
Oreo.
Yeah. No, he ain't Oreo. You know.
Let me add this to what you just said, what Obama said, and this Ukraine mess. Something I found out, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if you can look it up, Bernard. See if you can type it in and you'll search it and look it up. But there was a video supposedly allegedly that the Ukrainians, when the Derek Chauvin trial was going on, I don't know if it was at a soccer game or some event, they was all chanting. They had, now I can say I ain't gonna blame this on all the Ukrainians, but there were a large number of them in crowds chanting "Free Derek Chauvin." They had signs saying "Free Derek Chauvin." All these black Americans caping for these people, man. They not. I'm telling you, dude, they are not for us, man. I don't know why we keep seeking some type of asylum or some type of what happened? Everybody gone. Okay, there we go. We keep seeking some type of. We want acceptance, white acceptance, when they're not going to accept us globally. There's a global move for a supreme white race. Whether you black, believe it or not, that's up to you.
Well, we know for a fact. We know for the fact that African students and other students from Africa and other people from Africa tried to leave the Ukraine, and who stopped them? The Ukrainian Border Patrol. They stopped them from going. There are people right now. I listened to a program this afternoon about they're still stuck there. And what they're doing is saying, we're not going to let you out, but we're going to give you weapons so you can defend this country that has shown their bias and prejudice against you. And another point, and then I'm through with this part. As Russia was invading Ukraine, guess what the United States was doing? They were bombing Somalia for the 5th time since Biden's been president. An African nation. We were bombing Africa while Russia was entering the Ukraine. The exact same moment. And nobody talks about that because you're killing black folks.
Hey, what's up, Derek? Hey, how you doing, Derek and Claudia Elmar? Yes, the World Economic Forum, they part of it too. And you're right that that Ukraine is nothing but a slush fund for neocons in there, because that's where the money going. It's really slush fund for the $1 billion. But I do Monique 2C. I know she ain't donating no money to Ukraine, and Monique 2C don't care what Obama said about her. Donate some money to Ukraine. That got to be the funniest thing I ever heard, that somebody said, there you go. I mean, look, Shawn, I got to be honest with you. They must really think that we are some kind of stupid, right?
That's what they think.
But you did have some black guy with it. Now, check this out. Do you know what Putin said, though? If you come over there as a mercenary, you are not a prisoner of war. So they have the right to kill you. Okay? You ain't no POW. So you might be but you got to watch this mercenary stuff, because that reminds you of Blackwater. And anybody know Blackwater was down there, Hurricane Katrina, blocking black folks when they get over that bridge, too. Those were hired mercenaries. A lot of people don't know that. They were also in Iraq and stuff. Remember Erie Prince, Blackwater, Betsy DeVos, which was Trump's Secretary of Education. They actually were doing this. So you better watch out for these mercenaries, because they are not subject to POW laws.
No. And you can wind up dead for no reason.
Yeah. So I can't believe they actually, but they're not hiring a regular person off the street to go over there anyway. You know, they get paid to go over there. But, you know, I'm just letting you know that another thing, I've seen a lot of webcam videos too. And I need to think about this. Yes, I did hear that Congress gave themselves a 21% raise. Talk about that. Why they always giving us a raise, Claudia? What's up with that? Yeah, why they giving themselves a 21% raise? Can the people get a raise for the inflation, for the gas prices? What do you think, Shawn? How you think?
Well, I don't think they're making up inflation as related to the gas prices. This is a direct result of Joe Biden policies. When you're Joe Biden, you went out here and cut the Keystone Pipeline. That messed up all the oil futures, because the oil futures were speculating the price of gas based on the Keystone Pipeline. And once he did that, it wound up making it where the supply of oil was starting to shrink as demand was starting to increase as the nation went back to work. And as the nation went back to work and more vehicles were on the road, this is what led to the inflation. Now, your Joe Biden wants to throw all the tantrums he wants, saying it's not his fault, but this is his fault. And any critical thinker who understands economics would tell you that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And that's why you have to think critically before you take action. Unfortunately, Joe Biden was so in his feelings about Donald Trump, he wanted to spite Donald Trump by undoing all of Donald Trump's policies without understanding the long-term economic impact. And this is one of the big problems that your leftists have, is that they don't want to admit when they've made a mistake. They don't want to think critically about the decisions that they make and the long-term ramifications of those decisions. No, instead of doing that, they do what beta males do, and that is go out here and try to deflect by saying it's somebody else's fault. But at the end of the day, you were the one who made the decisions, and it's your decisions that have consequences, because for every action you take, there are consequences for those actions. And that's why our gas prices are currently so high, because your Joe Biden didn't think about the consequences of his actions on the U.S. economy, because he was in his feelings about Donald Trump, and he was also in his feelings about pushing this green environmental electric car garbage, not understanding we don't even have the infrastructure for electric cars right now. And with most people suffering from being out of work for almost a year and a half or so, some that were put out of work due to these jab mandates, many Americans don't have that kind of money.
Stop right there.
And
Stop right there for 1 second. Stop right there for 1 second. You hit it on the head. The average price of electric car is $56,000. $56,000. So number one, a lot of people won't be reported. Number two, the infrastructure bill and all this green stuff, they didn't get better, but the infrastructure bill also created the inflation. Because I was talking to a guy the other day, and he said, where can I find these bills? I'm like, don't you got a phone, buddy? What are you, stupid? I mean, come on. This is not rocket science. He always, what did he say? They asked Biden, Russia's responsible. He said, what are you gonna do with the gas price? He said they're gonna go up. He said this is Putin. I'm like, no. President of the United States. Number one, United States got a lot of oil. United States got a whole lot of oil here. Matter of fact, under Trump, they were a big time. They were using their oil. Russia don't supply that much oil to the U.S. They do, but they don't supply as much as you think. They supply a lot of oil. So Russia ain't gonna be hurting because Russia got plenty of oil to supply to all these European nations. So I'm just letting you know. Because China, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela told them F you. So you have no need to be getting oil when you got oil in Texas, Colorado, certain places in Pennsylvania. I can go on and on and on. I really am not going to keep just going name. I'm just letting you know. So, Shawn, what you said is absolutely correct. And then you talking about, it could go up to $7 by the summer. Some people get scooters. But the problem is, why they had this meeting, they actually had a meeting last Sunday. And they were talking about, daggone, Putin may help us, may not help us. But Putin may force us to go to green energy because of the gas. So really, it's all a plot to get you to go to green energy and electric cars. It's called getting rid of the carbon footprint. That's what they call it. That's all.
Well, isn't that what Kamala Harris was talking about when she was in Poland? She actually said it. This is opportunity for for the energy group. The Green New Deal and all that stuff to get these electric cars to take the place of the gas guzzling cars and the oil needing cars and other things like that. What we forget, and what we also forget, is this: that this gasoline and this oil is not just used for cars. It's used to heat you up in the wintertime. It's used for when you want to cook something on your stove. A lot of oil is used for a lot of things. And so, I mean, this, we sometimes harp on and we kind of concentrate our efforts on just our cars. But let me tell you something. The electric bills, the gas bills, they're increasing like left and right. They're increasing ridiculously so. And as we're looking at the cars rising, the price in gas rising at the gas pump, remember, because of that, also, the shelves are being emptied in many grocery stores. You can't find a loaf of bread. I live in Philadelphia, and we had to go through about 4 or 5 stores before we found a loaf of bread. The shelves are empty.
Let me ask you a question. Now, let me ask a question to people that's on this platform or in the chat if they got information on this. Is it true that Donald Trump during his term that he separated the United States from NATO, took the United States out of NATO, and that's the reason legally reason why the United States can't step in with this Ukraine situation?
No. He didn't take them out of NATO. What he did was he made NATO pay for just the United States was in charge, and I know Shawn can explain even better than I. But NATO really depended on us to do everything in terms of finances. We actually did everything. NATO didn't contribute anything to their own survival, and it left it up to us.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So
Trump, he made it so that they had to pay their fair share. They had to pay their fair share.
Because
somebody
they brought up on another platform that he took out because it was cheaper for us. But maybe they got it wrong. Maybe he made it where they had to pay or pay part of it. Right. Okay.
We've all right.
Another one. Okay. Another one with these electric cars. It's going to be powered by electric battery.
Yeah.
It's lithium ion.
I'm predicting more and more health issues with that's going to be too much on the human body. We six neutrons, 6 electrons, 6 protons. That's going to affect us health wise.
Now listen.
I'm just saying.
Let me say something about this. Monique, you see, is absolutely right. As a matter of fact, when I go up the street tomorrow, if I go that way, I will sing you I hope I stop if I remember to send a picture of this car lot. It's a Honda dealership up the street, and they had 4 cars on the last. One time they had 1 car, then they didn't have no car. They don't have a damn car in that damn lot. And yes, used cars were selling for top dollar. I'm not sure they still are. But you're right. You're not going to get a new car. They claim it's a chip shortage or whatever, but we know that's BS too.
Yep.
It's all game.
But it wouldn't be a chip shortage if we would have built homegrown fan manufacturing here on American soil.
And had we built American cars with carburetors, because you don't need all this computer tech garbage in your car. I mean, I've seen guys put together cars with the carburetors and stuff, and they could do this by hand. I mean, this is an easier to maintain car, but what they want to do is get you at the dealership, because if the cars are all these computerized parts, then the technicians have to work on your car, and then they get to charge you extra.
Yep.
Yeah, because we were growing up, Shawn, that's the kind of cars we had, carburetors. There was no such thing, electric car and all that. Our cars, we actually could fix half the thing ourselves. Get under the hood, do that little thing with the little flap on the carburetor, and get that thing lubricated a little bit.
People were doing engine swaps in the garage.
Turn the screws and loosen it or tighten it up a little bit, and we're back on the road again, child. I can do a lot of stuff and I wasn't even a mechanic. You just know how to do it. You can't do it now because it's like you say, everything is chips and electrical and all that kind of stuff. You'll blow yourself up if you do it now. But I remember there used to be a time you could take your little screwdriver, make a little adjustment to your carburetor, and you know that, Shawn, because you've done it. And we're back on the road again.
It used to be guys were doing engine swaps in their garage.
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
What kind of cars you worked on? Because the first car I worked on was
well, I haven't worked on cars.
I had a 1978. You say what now?
I grew up in an era with carburetors, so I know that era is different. I never worked on a car, but I know about working on cars.
Right. Hey, look, but it was easy.
Let me tell y'all this story though.
Yeah.
This had to be like 2000, 2001, maybe. I had bought a 1978 Chevy Malibu Classic, right? Original 305 engine in it, right? Original 305 engine with 85,000 miles on the motor, right? My first time ever working on the car. This is St. Louis, Missouri, right? So I had to walk to Van's Auto Parts, right? Look in the book.
Hey, wait a minute. He right. These cars don't know how to fix an electrical problem these days.
Trying to do it. I said, well, I can do this shit. I can take these damn wires off and put new wires on it. No. They mark for a reason. They mark them because you got to line the wires up with the same, put them in the same position. You can't switch the wires because guess what you'll do? Hey, misfire. You'll have fire shooting up out their carburetor, boy, like it's a magic trick, boy. And you be looking like a magician out there. So I had to learn from that. I said, well, damn. So I had to walk about 2-3 miles to Van's Auto and read the manual, flip through that manual, because I didn't have enough money to buy the whole book. So luckily the people was cool at the store. So I'm looking in the manual, walk back to the crib. I adjust this, I finally got the damn Malibu back on the road, man. So, hey. And it built character. It built the lesson. It was a lesson learned. It built character.
Yeah, because those distributor caps, he's got to follow a certain sequence.
That's right. You had to be careful of that. But then you had the spark plugs. All that stuff worked. I don't know. It was a better time. The cars are made more solid. They were made out of metal, so they lasted longer.
Real quick, Bishop. Real quick. So I got an old phone I've been using.
I don't know what happened. Somebody tried to call me.
This a while, but if anybody want to call in and bring in their opinion right quick, probably about 15, 20 minutes. The calling number is 571-450-0773. 571-450-0773. But look, all jokes aside, though, we do have to understand some things. What happened, Shawn? I mean, Shaq.
I'm here.
I didn't hear what he said.
Didn't say anything.
No, I don't know what happened. Oh shoot! Well, he might be back.
He had a call.
These cars have been connected to a computer to fix them. No more backyard mechanics. Yeah, I got a backyard mechanic, but shoot, something they can't even fix these days. Shoot, they told me they wanted to fix 2 sensors on the car for $368. I'm like, oh no, you're not gonna do that. But
those days are over.
But Shawn, we and you had a thing, and I know you've been talking about this for a while, and I see you talk about it on your show, and I love it. Talk about these simps for a minute. What's going on with all these simps out here?
Well, all of these simps come from the man crisis because we had after as the feminist movement rose, we got all these men who just they learned how to submit and defer to women because they wanted to gain sexual access and attention to women. So that's why we have all these simps out here, and all these guys do what they look to go out here and bootlick and brown nose women in the hopes of gaining some access to the skid mark thong and hoping to get some taste of that atomic waste. So
Woo!
that's why we have all these simps out here, because a lot of these men, they don't know how to lead. All they know how to do is follow. And that is by design, because they want to go out here. They wanted to soften up men because they didn't want to deal with men pushing back on them and unions. They didn't want to have men pushing back in society or standing up and setting. But the whole thing is, when you've got a society of simps and they lower the standard and quality of life of everything because they're going to give women everything they want, that makes it where your society's morality falls. That makes it where your quality of life falls. And it just is a bunch of weak guys, and these weak simps, they're willing to do anything and sacrifice their dignity and self-respect for a taste of that atomic waste that's
Stop
hiding
right
behind
there.
that.
You hit it on the head again. Hey, man, if you was gambling, you win $1,000. Let me tell you something right quick. You know, I was talking to a chick a couple years ago, girl I know a couple years ago. Me and her, shouldn't say chick, she's a woman. But she said something about, we were talking about this. And she said, dang, why don't, she was like, you don't press for nothing, do you? I said, let me tell you something, man. I said, hold on. Simps press, men don't. We don't do that. I said, we don't do no pressing like that. Okay. But I said, look, well, you can tell we don't, but she's like, what is a simp? I told her, well, to be honest with you, probably 75 to 65% of the men today probably are simps anyway. And it ain't come from just being, oh no. It came from some of these baby boomers too. Sorry, Bishop, I ain't mean to put you on the spot, but it came from some of them too.
Leave it alone.
But look, that's just the way it is. Because after that 60s, 70s, 80s movement, women live, all that stuff, that wasn't nothing but a bunch of BS. I said, wait a minute. I got a book in here called Against Feminism, right? And look, I'm going to just tell you, this stuff is warped-minded, man, because if you look at it and you think about it, come on, man. Some of this stuff ain't normal. And really, to tell you the truth, I told her I don't even have that much discussion with simps because I already know they're emotional. I said I could almost put on the number of hand on my finger. When a man got all this emotion, I almost can guarantee you. And she said, what can you guarantee? I said 75% of the people in the United States of America, you got a single parent home crisis. Therefore, you're going to have this. And that's why we can listen to idiots like Cardi B sit up there the other day talking about a teacher getting hit or hurt in the school. And she's coming to say that the gangsters she was around, they never fought no teachers. Excuse you, woman. Where you been at, woman? Where you been at, Cardi B? Are you kidding me? And then you don't even want a child listen to the same music. So, Shawn, you made it right about what you call morality, but are we headed for a life of social decadence or social degenerates? I mean, what the hell is going on?
We can turn this around, but it takes a generation of men to stand up. And that's what I talk about in my upcoming book, The Woman Crisis, in the solutions section. It takes a generation of men to stand up to these feminists and these other crazies and reestablish a standard. Now, that's not going to be easy to do, but the only way this ends is if men go out here and end it, because as the head of the household, we have to go out here and set a standard, because we see these people destroying society, these feminists, these leftists, these social justice types. They're crazy and twisted ideas. It's up to the men to come in and reestablish a standard, because these people, they're lost, and they'll keep us being lost unless we go out here and push back against them. They'll sit there and say, oh, you're sexist, you're ist, you're a phobe, but you have to follow a God-centered standard. And if you want to debate that with the Most High, then you definitely are dealing with the right one. So it takes a generation of men to start standing up. And we started to see that with the Me Too movement. A lot of those women kept pushing with allegations to the point where men just walked away. And when men started to walk away, we started to see the turning point in this country, as I see it, as related to these feminists and all these other crazies in the single parent households. And all it takes is a generation of men to keep pushing, and we can push all of this garbage right into the trash can where it belongs.
Go ahead, Bishop.
Yeah.
I agree with exactly what you're saying. But I think a part of it is the fact that men are no longer a part of the equation in the household. And when boys are being raised by women, for the most part, then women have taken on the role of being the one who is in control, the one who makes the decisions, the one who goes out there and works and brings food to the table. And so when you grow up like that and you see that's who's providing for you, and that's who's supporting you, and that's who's making things happen, they're the ones that go to PTA meetings, the parent-teacher conferences. They're the ones who actually are guiding and directing your life. And this is talking about the young men who are raised by women. There was a time during my time, they began to break down the family, but still we had enough family males that were strong. Like, for example, my father left when I was 6 years old, but I had two grandfathers who were patriarchs in the family. We went to them. We looked to them for guidance. I'm sorry. We looked to them for guidance and other things. I don't know why I just keep on doing that.
It's all good.
But I'll just add to that, say, yeah, we do. It's the men. We got to start with the young guys. So if we, like, they're attacking the youth, we gotta go at the youth and give them these platforms we have. We got to have these conversations with the youth, because they're going to be the men. They're going to be the 29-year-olds. They're going to be the 30-year-olds in 20 years from now. The 18-year-olds are going to be the 40-year-olds. So we definitely got to start giving this information, including them, the ones that want to listen, and instilling this stuff into them, like you said, with the STEM and all that. We got to start teaching them, like you said, how to stand on their own. What's that?
We can't look for a stripper like Cardi B to lead us out the hole.
No, her morality has been compromised. Her moral position is compromised.
Well, to me, this whole society is just about a minute away from being Sodom and Gomorrah. Other societies that have disappeared from the face of the earth. We're moving in that direction. I mean, you look at the agenda. I mean, here you're talking about. They were talking about in Florida, the rules that talking about no gay bill, not talking about gays and all that type of thing. And they made it sound so bad until you get into reading the bill, which I did. And they're talking about from kindergarten to third grade. Now, for a fact, even when I was coming along, and even when you all were coming along, talk about any kind of sexual things were not even considered. When I was in kindergarten, they weren't talking about men and women either. They weren't talking about that kind of relationship. Kindergarten, first, second, third grade. That was not part of our topics or subject matter. We weren't even introduced to any of this stuff at that early age of school life. So what's the problem that talking about your sexual preferences and your sexual leanings should not be discussed in a classroom of kindergartners, first, second, and third graders? What's the problem with that? That shows a society that is becoming so degenerate that they want to actually raise their children from the youngest age, knowing about these things that when I came along, you didn't talk about this stuff even in high school. I mean, it's just something that you talk about kindergarten, first, second, third grade, and they're up in arms that it's too biased. The progressives are out crying and screaming about how dare they do this. And of course, once again, they, like Shawn was saying before, they mislead. They just throw it out that it's not allowed in school. They didn't say what the bill actually says. Kindergarten, first, second, and third grades. And yet it's just weird because we exclude everything in the school from kindergarten to 12th grade that has any moral values. Any moral values. We can't even sing a Christmas carol. It has to be Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus Coming to Town, those kind of songs. You can't sing Away in a Manger, Little Town of Bethlehem. Many schools don't even allow those type of things anymore. And yet we're going to promote homosexuality and everything. What goes on in your bedroom is your business. I have no axe to grind about that. What your business is your business. But when you want to teach my child in kindergarten, they don't even know what 1 and 1 is 2 yet. And they're going to learn about this kind of stuff. I don't want them to learn about nothing sexual from kindergarten to 3rd grade. Nothing. Heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual. I don't care what kind of sexual. Sexual's in the definition. I don't want them to know about it, not at that age. It should be left in the home for the parents to teach. Certainly at that age, that should be the ones who teach their children, if they choose to, about anything of that nature, and not be brought into a classroom or to be promoted in a schoolhouse.
Wow.
We got you.
All I can say is the nerve.
You got anything to say about this, Shawn?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to bring up, because the brother making Cardi B rapping gang life, stripping, robbing, men that's stripping, WAP. The list goes on and on. The guy said, Cut Dog says, Bishop, you don't want to hear that WAP song then. Well, let me bring up one more thing about Miss Cardi B since this is going on. So, Shawn, if Cardi B she can be offensive. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris was saying, I listen to Cardi B. I love your music. You know, goddamn. Well, they might be, because they some daggone perverts too. But but I'm just saying, who do you think they pandering to when they say this?
Well, they're trying to pander to these single mothers, and they're trying to sell you the fact that, if Cardi B is having problems with the morality, there's something seriously wrong. But what they're doing is showing how much of a hypocrite they are, because you're saying that this woman is having problems with this, but she created the culture that creates all of this immoral and crazy behavior out here. Now, that's what's really crazy about this whole thing when she talks about, our gangsters wasn't like this. Well, I was around when in the late 80s when those gangsters became the mothers and fathers of today's children. And they were just as bad then as they are now. So I know that your Cardi B is actually full of it when she talks about the morality being bad, but the morality has been bad ever since the 70s, when the feminist movement came along and changed the values of America and destroyed the American family. So all of this has been going on for the last 40 to 50 years, and your Cardi B is completely out of touch with the reality of these kids going wild, because I have family members who worked in education, and these kids have been going wild for a good 20 years. And when I was in junior high school and high school, they were going wild back then. And it's all due to the complete collapse of the family here in America.
Mm-hmm. And the lack of black male leadership.
Yeah, lack of men in the community.
We need more black male. Hold on, let me change it. Heterosexual black male leadership in the school system. It's a known fact that is a key component to education to younger black males and younger black females. That's a fact.
I got something to say here too. I got to break some stuff down here. I got to throw some stuff in here. You know, I was thinking about something that y'all was saying right there. But the average man, to be honest with you, I'm talking about the real men now. I'm not talking about the subs now. Really, probably can't deal with probably about a good 10 to 15% of these women, and the other 75% to 80% might have to be left on the back burner. That man ain't gonna put up. You know what? I told one chick, I don't be worrying about all your other stuff. I just worry about if you was a stripper, a prostitute, or you argumentative. Them my three things that I cannot deal with you under no circumstances, because you will drive me on that go. I said, first of all, I deal with no stripper, no prostitute. Then you just go ahead and cancel that out. And the argumentative part, you cancel that out too, because I be listening to this thing. And when I listen to Cardi B or somebody like that, they be like, man, I went and copped me a Birkin bag. I'm like, Do you know how much that burger bag cost, man? Look, man, I've been seeing people post online lately. Daggone, what they been saying? Hold on a minute. Let me put it down there. What they say? You complaining about high gas, but you gonna go pay up $400 Jordans. So let's switch off the women part for the men. What's going on with the men buying the $400 Jordans and all this stuff? What the hell going on with Shawn? You got to get some Gucci shades, all this.
Well, that's what happens when boys are raised in single mother households. And I saw this back when I was in high school. These effeminate males, they make their social status all about clothes because their mama makes it all about clothes and shoes. So this is just the boy emulating the behavior that was modeled for him because he didn't have a man there to teach him how to focus on things that are of substance, like learning some life skills and survival skills. That's what a father teaches his son as he's teaching him how to work and how to socialize. And a lot of our boys, we didn't get that because these boys were either sitting at home with mama, they saw her buying clothes and shoes, and that's what we're seeing out here right now. Just a bunch of effeminized, soft males out here. And these soft males, they just don't know how to do anything except be a woman out here that just has a male anatomy.
You know what, man? You know what, Shawn? You are right. Because, some guy, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody does this before. But really, to tell you the truth, I done had some guys I knew back in the day. They'd say, man, how I look, man. I said, what the fuck you mean, how you look? Like, how my outfit look? Like, I'm not supposed to tell you that, man. Like, yeah, you walking out the house, right? So.
Let me say this, Bernard. I want to add
hold on, let me
to this equation because I really want to go throughout the years because I have lived during the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010s, and 2020s. And let me say this: years ago, this is how it broke down, and I'm sure Shawn can attest to it. It began with welfare. In the demand that the man leaves the household if the woman's going to get support for her children. That's how it began. Okay? That's during the 70s and 80s, where the men were really driven out the house in order for the woman to get whatever they needed to get for milk for their children, food for their children, all of that. Okay? That was the stipulation. Can't have a man in your house if you want any government assistance. That was number two. In the 90s, what happened was the crime bill, sending those same now teenagers and their fathers to prison. This systematic, and you're right, Shawn, this systematic scheme, starting with welfare, moving on to sending black men into prison, remove the black male influence out of the children's lives. And really, in a sense, and I almost am sympathetic to the women in this regard, it forced them to be the father, to be both parents, which is unfair to them. But their man is now locked up. Their man is now, before that, their man was forced to leave the house in order for them to get any kind of support, food stamps, cash monies, whatever they needed to get to maintain their household. You couldn't have your man in there. Remember that movie Claudine, where he was a garbage collector and he had to move everything, they had to hide everything that indicated he was even living there, or else they would not have beaten when the caseworker came in. This was the truth. This is what happened to many of our households, and so it left the void, and that was all systematically done because they know this. The system knows this. If you can break up the family, you done broke up the community, and there's no doubt about it. You break up the community.
Well,
on top of that, they dropped the drugs. They dropped the drugs too. They dropped drugs on heavily in the communities too. That was yeah. That was a big part of.
Let me bring something to you that just came up on my
nail in the coffin.
Here. Israel was hit by the largest ever cyber attack. Just pointing that out there. So I don't know. I have to watch out for that because they've been talking about cyber attacks lately, but it ain't gonna be no damn Russia doing it. It's gonna be the United States government. They're gonna blame it on Russia though. Just pointing that out there. So they did just come up
Well,
that Israel was hitting a large cyber attack. So just put it out there.
well, unfortunately, fellas, I got to dip off, man. It was nice, man, chopping up with you guys, man. But I got to dip off and do some
That's all
things.
good.
Shoot,
All right.
That's all
daddy
good.
duties. Yeah, man. Peace and hair grease.
All right.
And
Hey,
I'll check you
you
later,
know,
man.
I talked to
Yo,
Shawn about one more thing, and then we gonna be done. So I see your buddy, Mr. Eric Adams, saying that we are gonna get you for we are gonna get you for, I think a homeless man was shot in the subway or something like that. Some serial homeless person or some guy killing
Well, it
people.
was a guy who's been shooting homeless people.
Yeah. Eric Adams said, we're gonna get you. I said, oh, please. Gee. You know what, man? Eric Adams lucky I'm not in New York City, man. I love this. Hey, look, man. Can I ask you a question, man? Is Eric Adams the biggest clown show running right now? I'm just
Yes,
asking.
he is. He is a certified minstrel show.
Okay. I had to make sure he's a clown, man. Because you're not gonna just tell somebody shooting homeless people, oh, I'm gonna get you. I'm like, this guy ain't watching TV, Eric, man. Or he might be. He might be looking on his phone. I don't know. But I'm gonna get you. Hey, man, this guy make me laugh every day I see this man, Shawn. I live in Virginia, man. What's up?
Yeah, well, your Eric Adams is out here putting on a social media minstrel show to deflect from his lack of leadership. And he thinks that talking a good game is going to be able to intimidate and scare criminals. But the criminals look at him and see the weakness of his whole argument. I mean, you're sitting here talking about what you're going to do, and people who are strong don't have to talk about what they do. They just go out here and do what needs to be done. Only a beta male goes out here and makes a lot of noise and lets people know what he's going to do, and goes out here making a lot of noise because he wants to get attention for himself. But when you try to get attention for yourself, you're coming from a position of weakness. No, a smart guy, he's going to sit there, lay out his strategies, do things on the stealth mode, and eventually let his police officers do their job and then let them do their investigation to capture these criminals. He's not going to put on a show and a display, but beta males, because when they get in a leadership position, everything about them is attention and clout chasing. So they're not really thinking about leading anything. All they're looking for is to have a whole bunch of people following them and getting attention for themselves for the little spectacles. And New York doesn't need a guy who talks a good game. We need somebody with substance who can lay a concrete plan for getting the city on track, because everything with Eric Adams is flash and gimmicks. I mean, he's relying heavily on Joe Biden and money from Washington, and his budget still has a deficit. He's got this jab mandate in place that's practically destroying the tax base. And he's talking about this killer who's out here. And the whole thing is, you don't have to talk about getting a killer. That's weak leadership. No, you you let your detective squad lay the strategy to get this guy, because the more noise you make, that's what this beta male serial killer wants, is attention. And all you're doing is giving him more ammunition to go after more homeless people.
Well, Bishop, we were just talking about this guy being a clown show, Eric Adams.
Yes, he is a clown.
Yeah. He's a joke.
Well, the joke is always on you if you don't do it. Yes, Monel, it is a clown show. I've seen more clowns in circus. Got Easter parades coming up. We're gonna see people in bunny outfits and all this other bullshit. So, hey, look, man. Like the guy asked me a couple of weeks ago, man, you ain't been at a lot of games lately. I said the biggest game I'm watching is the clowns up there in Washington D.C. This the best show running. You ain't got to put it on you. You ain't got to put it on your PS4, PS5. You ain't got to do a daggone. Just sit back, get your popcorn, or like me, I eat a lot of almonds. Enjoy the show, man, because the show is nothing but a bunch of clowns, and I just want to find out where the lions, tigers, and bears at, because we can have a nice circus, and we ain't even got a daggone go to Bottom Billy. They discontinued anyway. So
and don't forget the elephant.
But That being said, Shawn, I want you to go ahead and announce all your good work and products and books and cash apps and all that.
Well, I have over 80 titles on the SJS Direct imprint, and the first book of the 2022 catalog, ISIS Legacy, is now available on Amazon.com in paperback, and it's also available on Kindle, and it's going to be coming to other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to donate to my Cash App, it's Cash App $ Shawn S. James, SHAWNSJAMES. Or if you want to go to PayPal, you can donate to SJS Direct America at gmail.com. And if you want to subscribe to my video channel, it's Shawn James on YouTube.
Okay, go ahead, Bishop.
You can go to, we have a program every Wednesday, Real Talk with the G-Man, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Blog Talk Radio. We have interesting conversation. We'll be talking about quite a few of the things we're talking about tonight, as well as some other things. We're trying to shift the program to move toward finding a solution and a resolution to the dilemma that we have within our community. It's not going to be found in Washington, not ultimately. It's not going to be found in the city halls or the state capitals. It's going to be found in our community. What we do, 2022, November is coming up. What are we going to do? Are we sending back all the representatives and all the senators that have done us wrong, that have not given us what we want? Are we going to do it? Are we going to put Biden or Kamala back in 2024? We have to find a strategy, an agenda, because they're not going to find one for us. This works for them. And so these are the kind of topics we deal with every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Real Talk with the G-Man on Blog Talk Radio. Our call-in number 515-602-9655. We invite you to be a participant. And Bernard, we thank you for being a supporter for all these many years. And we invite you, Shawn, to be on the program as well. I know your input would certainly be appreciated. Thank you both.
Well, look, like I say, y'all can give me at kingbjmedia.com, Bernard Johnson, Bernard1121 Instagram, Bernard Johnson Facebook, kingbjfitness.com, and so forth and the like. Got to work on the Twitter thing more. And you can donate if you want to $1919BJ. Now, I just want to say this to y'all gentlemen. It's going to be a lot of stuff going on here. I just told you there's a cyber attack. I wouldn't be surprised to do one in the U.S. But however, I do thank y'all for always coming out and supporting me and coming to talk about the Daily Clown Show. I mean, this is just buying time for me because I'm like, hey, look, man, I don't see a whole lot of clowns for the last 3 years. I told Bishop when I was in his house, you can say anything about me. But one thing about it, I go look at the facts, and 95% it come out just the way I said it. Maybe 5%, maybe it might be a speck here, a speck off, but it's almost there because I already read it. Everything I said these people are trying to do, they are doing it, but they're not as successful as they could have been 10 years ago. They should try this stuff 10 years ago. It'd probably be successful. But, hey, Shawn, we talked about this. When the enemy wants to censor you, they censor you because they know you're right, and they don't want their wicked machination to be exposed. So instead of debating me one-on-one, I got to censor you and say that you can't. It ain't no fair fight. All that misinformation, disinformation nonsense, now that's bull crap. You just don't want to debate me in the public arena because you will lose.
Yep.
Now.
That's what.
Take that.
And Shawn, that's what beta males do. Yep,
that's what they do. They don't like to hear any sort of debate because they don't want to be made to look like the fools that they are. And it shows how weak their character is, because a man of character will sit there and admit that he's wrong, admit things are going wrong, because he understands that getting towards a solution is about accepting that if a mistake is made, you just go out here, admit it, and then you just move on. But this guy, he wants to be right because he's in his feelings about being perfect, and he doesn't understand that nobody's perfect, and making a mistake doesn't mean that you're a bad person, but he takes everything personally, So he wants to be right all the time. And the whole thing is nobody's right all the time. And this is one of the problems with the beta male. That's why he wants to censor everybody and hide information. But the more you hide the information, the more the truth comes out, and the worse he looks because he's holding on to a lie. And the more he holds on to the lie, the whole thing is the more of an idiot he looks like. And when you hold on to information too long, you look like a complete idiot, and people start seeing you as somebody they don't see as credible whatsoever.
Well, I would say I had a ball with y'all again. And even Shaq, shout out to him. I wanted to share that information, but he left. So we said things to do, and we all have things to do. But with that being said, I want y'all gentlemen to have a lovely night and keep on pushing, because y'all up there in two liberal conclaves. I mean, Virginia started to change a little bit, but Rob, there was daggone the clowns of the clowns. But y'all go ahead and take your time.
Be blessed.
All right. All right.
Yes,
you have
sir.
a good evening.
That's it, brother.